Leeds International School, Form 3, first term, Buddhism, lesson number 2, and the lesson is Four Noble Truths. Learning objectives of this lesson. The students will learn the Buddhist practices and spiritual guides. This lesson will explore the term Dukkha, and the students will understand the Four Noble Truths and the practices of it. Now children, today our topic is Four Noble Truths. So our Lord Buddha preached the Four Noble Truths firstly to the five friends. So Buddha preached the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra, which contains the Four Noble Truths. So they are Dukkha Satya, Dukkha Samudaya Satya, Dukkha Arya Satya and Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Arya Satya. The Four Noble Truths. The first one is life is full of suffering. Suffering comes in many forms. Three obvious kinds of suffering correspond to the first three sides of the Buddha saw on his first journey outside his palace: old age, sickness and death. But according to the Buddha, the problem of suffering goes much deeper. Life is not ideal. It frequently fails to live up to our expectations. Human beings are subject to desires and cravings, but even when we are able to satisfy these desires, the satisfaction is only temporary. Pleasure does not last, or if it does, it becomes monotonous. The second noble truth is suffering comes from desire or wanting. Our day-to-day troubles may seem to have easily identifiable causes. Thirst, pain from an injury, sadness from the loss of a loved one. In the second of his noble truths, though, the Buddha claimed to have found the cause of all suffering, and it is much more deeply rooted than our immediate worries. The third one is suffering stops when desire stops. The Buddha taught that the way to extinguish desire, which causes suffering, is to liberate oneself from attachment. This is the third noble truth, the possibility of liberation. The Buddha was living example that this is possible in a human lifetime. The fourth noble truth is, in order to stop those desires, follow the Eightfold Path. The final noble truth is the Buddha's prescription for the end of suffering. This is a set of a principle called the Eightfold Path. So in Eightfold Path, there are 8 divisions: right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. So I hope you all understood about Four Noble Truths. Okay children, now we'll see what is meant by Dukkha. Dukkha refers to the suffering or unsatisfactory states of life. A person might temporarily fulfill their desires, but suffering, whether physical, emotional or mental, cannot be avoided. Right, our next topic is about five-fold clingings. Pancha Upadanakkhanda. So there are 5 matters: aggregate of matter, aggregate of feelings or sensations, aggregate of perceptions, aggregate of mental formation or mental tendencies, aggregate of consciousness, mental energy combined with the preceding 3 mental faculties and 6 objects. Now we'll see what are they. The first one can be known as the cluster of clinging to form, the cluster of clinging to feeling, the cluster of clinging to perception, the cluster of clinging to construction, and the cluster of clinging to consciousness. So these are the 5 clusters of clinging. The Noble Eightfold Way should indeed be developed for the direct experience of these 5 clusters of clinging. For the full understanding and elimination of them, and for their final overcoming, abandoning and leaving all behind. So, aggregate of matter means due to several matters we feel sad. And due to feelings and sensations we feel worry. So, we feel dukkha due to that. And due to the perceptions and the mental formations also we feel dukkha. So, these can be known as five-fold clingings, which is known as Pancha Upadanakkhanda. Next, we will see how birth becomes a suffering to us. How is birth difficult, or how does it involve suffering? Well, giving birth is physically painful, and also birth is appearance into an uncertain realm. Notice how babies suffer. Coming into the world must be a desperate and frightening experience. For the majority of beings, including people in the world today, it means the end of guaranteed nourishment and the beginning of the struggle to survive. Even for the small percentage of privileged humans who live in affluent societies, with birth begins a life in which some physical discomfort is guaranteed, along with the need to sustain or defend the comfort, the property, and the health that they do have. In every case, the obvious long or short-term consequence of birth is death. So, birth can be considered as a suffering. Next one is Jati, old age or decay. After we are born, we get into the old age once we pass about 60 years of the lifespan. During the early years, a majority of humans may lead a healthy life, so the effect of one becoming old slips through our mind until we actually face that situation. The physical body of ours gives us many problems as we reach the old age, and majority of us don't know how to manage it correctly mentally. The body that was once very strong becomes frail, and the physical features of us deteriorate, and the personality and the beauty once we had will no more be there. One may even not be able to move at will to places since mobility of the body diminishes. Physical strength and mental activities such as good memory fades and forgetfulness will be prominent then. The bodily features once you adored will be no more there to be proud of. One even may become sorrowful thinking of the good olden days he once had. So Lord Buddha pointed the above to be wary of. He had the greatest kindness toward us, letting us realize the problems before we are engulfed in it. Next one is Jati. This means sickness. We are getting from different types of diseases from our early childhood. It causes suffering and sadness. Even today, it is very impossible to find a person without a sickness. So, sickness is considered by Lord Buddha as a suffering. Next factor is death. Death is a very common factor to all human beings and animals in the world. This is also a big suffering for humans and animals. Death is the end of life. This causes grief and some feel alone forever. So when our loved ones died, so we feel so sad. So death is unsatisfactory, lamenting, stress factor. Our next topic is our body consisted of 4 important facts. So they are Patavi, Apo, Tejo and Vayu. So our Gautama Buddha categorized these things as earthy, watery, fiery and airy. Okay children, now we have come to the end of the lesson. So we'll discuss the summary. So today we'll discuss about Chaturarya Satya, or else the 4 Noble Truths, which was first described in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. So Lord Buddha preached these sutra to the 5 friends, Kondancha, Vappa, Baddiya, Mahanama and Assaji. And we also discuss about Dukkha. The definition of Dukkha means unsatisfactory states of life. And also we discuss about the fivefold clingings, which is also known as Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara and Vijnana. And our body consisted of four facts: Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Panpatavi, and also we discuss about the causes and effects of Dukkha. So I hope you all understood the lesson very well. Now we will take a look at the questions from your textbook. So there are four questions. The first one is, how would you help an old person who is sick? And the second one is, what is the meaning of Dukkha? Third question is, why is it good to help those whose lives are full of sadness? And question number 4 is, name the fivefold clingings. So the questions are very easy. I hope you write the answers for all questions. Thank you very much for listening and have a nice day.